Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Flip Side Podcast. I'm your host, Retro Ralph, and I am fresh back from Chicago for Media Day. And if you're listening to this today, which would be February 13th, then Pokémon from Stern Pinball is just about to drop, if it hasn't already. So hopefully what this is and what this becomes is supplemental content for you to maybe dive a little deeper, get my thoughts, but I'm also going to have a full video from the whole experience. I'm bringing you into Media Day in my video that'll be published hopefully tomorrow. We're shooting for tomorrow. But I had probably one of the best times I've had at one of these media days this past one. Now, the crew was different. A lot of people that normally go couldn't go, but I got a chance. But what was cool about that is, sometimes you make friends with certain people within the hobby, and then you kind of stick with them, and it's not like you're trying to ignore everybody else. That's not what you're trying to do, but you kind of they become your comfort zone, so you kind of gravitate towards them. But I got to meet Aaron over at Grown Up Adjacent. I've met him before, but I haven't. If you haven't followed his content, he streams almost daily. Really good guy, very tall and very large hands. He has very, very big hands. So if you do meet him, you'll notice his hand could crush your whole entire face very easily, or palm a basketball or whatever. Yeah. I got to meet the punk rock pinball crew. Very, very sweet people. And so that was really fun. So definitely go check them out too. Their podcast has been going for a little while now. So interesting stuff. Go check those guys out as well. Yeah. So anyways, let's dive right into it. So we go to the media event, and it kicks off. And we're all excited, right? So they did something a little bit different this time. I did not make the Star Wars one, so I guess they did this at the Star Wars one. They did this at John Wick 2, but they brought us into a room at first, but they hadn't done it a couple times before that. So this is maybe going to be their normal process. So Seth Davis came in, and it was interesting because Seth gets a lot of heat. I really like Seth, and I don't know if that's because I've been in a corporate job for so long, my whole career, but I have a deep appreciation for how hard his job is as CEO of that company. And I know he gets a lot of heat for things that I don't really think have anything to do with him, but anyways, I really like him. I've grown to have, a bit of a relationship with him. At least when I see him, he's going to stop and talk to me, which is cool. So, but he did the presentation, and this presentation stood out to me a little bit more. The vibe at Stern was interesting. I think they are extremely excited because it was coming out in the way that Seth was presenting the material. Not to say that when he did it for Star Wars, he didn't seem enthusiastic, but he seemed extra enthusiastic. The energy in the room was very high. And now I didn't grow up with Pokemon. I knew of its existence, and my kids did Pokemon Go for a little bit. But there was just a different energy in that room with Seth. And of course, when he throws up the slide and says, do you guys know how big, and of course we all do, do you know how big the Pokemon property is? And he talks about the $288 billion. I mean, it's an insanely large property that spans generations, and it's still going, right? I was just in the airport I was going to Chicago, and there's vending machines with Pokemon cards. I was going back from Chicago, and there's vending machines with Pokemon cards. I mean, now it's funny how sometimes when you see something that's not really something that is part of your life on a regular basis, and now it's introduced to you in some fashion, and now all of a sudden it's everywhere. You're like, wow, this is everywhere. I mean, the Super Bowl commercial, they had a Super Bowl commercial for Pokemon. So in that presentation room, that's the first thing we all did. We all piled in there. And he just gave us an overview of here's the license, here's what our thoughts were, this is what it was like working with the license holder. And, that the theme is going to be for the animated series. So we didn't play the game yet, but of course, sometimes if those go too long, which by the way, it didn't, but if they go too long, it starts sounding like wah, 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 I just want to play the game, right? So, after we did that, we got a chance to play it, and they had all three there. They had the Pro, the Premium, and the limited edition. So we got a chance to get exposure to all of them. And I'll tell you this. So going into this, I'm not a Pokemon fan. I don't follow any of the stuff. I don't do any of that. So it was interesting because I'm not going into it with what I want to see out of Pokemon, but I also wanted to make sure that if there was someone there like Erica's pinball journey, like she is really into Pokemon. So I was like, well, I'm going to use her as my like litmus test, because if she likes it and she's really into it, then they captured the theme. I wouldn't know, right? To me, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't be like, oh man, I can't believe they didn't put Salamander in there. I don't even know if that's actually a character's name, whatever it is. Like, I can't believe they didn't put him in. What the heck? So she could at least like fact check that part of it. So that was cool. Vic VP and Mike. I don't remember Mike's. I don't always forget Mike's last name. Mike's this tall dude. He runs tournaments for Stern Army tournaments out on Long Island. I believe it's Long Island. Awesome dudes, by the way. Love Vic VP and Mike's super cool. I can't think of Mike's last name. So I was hanging around a lot with them. But so when we get into the room, we still haven't played it though. It's not like we go from that one room to then we can play it. We then get, which I'm grateful for. We then get a presentation from the designers. You get Jack Danger and you get George Gomez, and the rest of the development team is all there. And so they're going through the game, and that part I struggle with because it's early in the morning, and I'm like, oh man, I'm only retaining. I don't retain game rules that well. It takes me a long time. Like, I have to have a game for a considerable amount of time before I'm like, okay, I understand the code. But they are giving you the full breakdown. But keep in mind, if I'm talking one-on-one with you and I know a game really well, and I tell you everything, I brain dump everything about it, you're not, unless you're Joel from Flipping Out, you're not, or Serge, you're not gonna retain, or Travis, you're not going to retain all of that information, right? You're going to need to, at least for me, I need to learn through playing it. But, they're going through the design and everything. Now, we've seen it, but we haven't played it at this point. And I got to say, like, one thing, this game is co-designed and it has both their signatures. It doesn't feel like a Jack Danger game to me, though. Like, this is probably a very low percentage of Jack Danger. I think this is mostly George Gomez, which that's not a bad thing, by the way. I just think that Jack had a lot less involvement in this than I think maybe they're putting out into the world, which is fine. I mean, whatever, it is what it is. I'm sure Jack did a lot of other things, but the game, if I'm looking at it from a purely game design perspective, it feels very George Gomez to me. It does not feel, and by the way, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. People love both of them. People love George Gomez games. So a lot of people say Deadpool is their favorite game ever, and or at least in the modern era for Spike 2. And then, there's a lot of people that think Foo Fighters or X-Men is their favorite game. So, I mean, there's definitely love. There's love for both those designers. So whatever. I don't know the percentages, but if you were asking my opinion, I'd say this feels like a George Gomez game and not really a Jack Danger game, although he might have had a little influence in it. So anyway, so they go through all that spiel, and then finally we can play the game. And I was pleasantly surprised. So here's the thing that you need to know. I think there's how the community is. They'll set a narrative and then they'll run with it. And I don't know what that narrative is going to be yet, because I'm publishing this as that is going out. So I have no idea what the community will do or say. The problem with the community sometimes is some louder voices will say something, and that might be more opinion-based and not fact-based. And all of a sudden the whole entire, like, everyone's like repeating it. It's like a pin side, and it becomes like a virus that spreads. And sometimes it's not necessarily a great reflection of the game, which we're going to talk a little bit about leaks in a minute, because I did a whole podcast on leaks. I hate leaks, and I'll tell you why. We'll go back to that, because I don't think leaks are going to impact this game, but I hate it for a lot of reasons, and we'll go back to why. And it's more of a personal thing. So when we finally get to play it, I played the premium first. So I guess I'll backtrack just for a second. Looking at all the trims, Pro, Premium, and Limited Edition, keep in mind, not a Pokemon guy. So for artwork, I was like, okay, like it's Pokemon. You know what I mean? Like although I was drawn to the LE, but it's hard not to be drawn to the LE, because you have the cabinet expression lights. You have the art blades in it. So it like really completes the world. But what I did notice first and foremost, as I'm looking at Pro, Premium, and Limited Edition, is I was impressed by the fact that Stern left all the sculpts in. So it didn't matter what version of the game you looked at, the playfield looked basically the same. There's a couple minor things, but I liked that from a sculpts perspective, they didn't decide to make, let's say, like the Pokeball a flat plastic, or Pikachu a flat plastic. They're all those sculpts are there. So Pikachu, Meowth, and by the way, don't think I have any clue who Meowth is. I know who he is now, but I had no clue who Meowth is, and I think it's really funny. Meowth, Meowth. I don't know why I want to like be like meow. But anyway, so Meowth, who I think is a cat. I don't know. It has whiskers, so it looks like a cat to me. And then the Pokeball. So those are in all of them. So you're getting all of them. Now where that goes away or where that changes is that Pikachu doesn't move, the Pokeball doesn't move. So they're there though. They're there. They look the same. They just don't move. So we'll get into a little bit more of that in a minute. And the Meowth thing in the middle works exactly the same. Now there is concessions, but we'll get to that in a minute. But what I'm trying to tell you is if you're looking at this Pro, Premium, and Limited Edition, they're basically going to look very similar from a playfield standpoint. And it's not like Stern ripped out those sculpts and put flat plastics and made it look like lesser than. So I do like that. It seems like that was I feel like that was something they tried to do here. I feel when you look at the game initially, it doesn't look like there's a lot to do, but there is, right? I mean, there's not a lot of shots. There's only like 5 shots. You have your right ramp, you have your left ramp, you have the battle arena thing, you have the bash toy, and then there's a shot behind that. So that arena thing that's sort of like a triangle up there at the top, that is that thing comes down, Meowth comes down, and there's like a bash toy. And then when you complete that or when he moves out of the way basically, and then there's a blinking shot behind him for like an up the center shot. So, but he's not always there. There's times where he's up and you can shoot right through the middle, which surprisingly isn't as easy as you'd think. And then he's kind of surrounded by these stand-up targets, and then there's a little bit of chaos in there because there's a pop bumper in there. So there is something that adds some variability to the game by that pop bumper, so that it does feel a little chaotic. Now it feels a little more chaotic on the Premium or the LE because there's also a magnet. Almost think like X-Men Magneto magnet. There's a magnet right there underneath Meowth that will also throw the ball around. So there's a bit more chaos, and that is a feature that you don't get on the Pro. But I think the community, if I hope the problem with people that can't play the game is they're going to form opinions. And I think when you look at it, it looks like, oh man, it's a super simple layout. And that might be true, but it's really fun. You can start getting into a really great flow with left ramp, right ramp, and you could do some cool combo shots. So, and then the orbits are fun. So there's like a, if you're initially plunging the ball, you can hold the left flipper like a la James Bond, right? And a ball will go all the way around. And when it does go all the way around, there'll be like a bunch of red lit shots. At least that's what they're lit as right now. And then if you hit any one of them, that's a skill shot. And obviously there are various different values associated with those skill shots. There's a cool captive ball feature. There's a scoop on the right-hand side. That scoop is actually kind of that's probably to me the hardest shot in the game is that scoop. The 2 ramp shots are pretty easy to hit. The other thing too that's cool about it is I noticed that at least, I don't know, I'm not sitting there with like a ruler measuring shit, but it feels like those are much wider shots than like like Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to get a bunch of rejects. Once you get a feel for the shots, you'll find yourself getting into a good flow. So there's a lot of fun in that, right? Like I like flowy games, and this game does have flow, and you can kind of get into a groove, and that feels good. And I think from a new player perspective, someone's gonna, and this is probably, I'm sure, a conscious effort from Stern. I made the mistake of calling Star Wars approachable in the beginning. That was my first impression. That couldn't be more inaccurate at this point. If you compared these 2 games, this game is very approachable. And what I mean is you can get in, you can go on this game as like a novice player. I think you're gonna have a great time and you will hit the shots. Where Star Wars, I feel, man, you're gonna struggle with that game if you're not like a seasoned player. Actually, even some of the best players struggle with that game quite a bit. So that was my like initial impressions. I was like, wow, it's approachable, it's fun. The code was pretty developed. There's already like 180 Pokemon you can capture, and then those things are catch, I guess, and then they will be added to your Insider Connected. And then they have a bunch of like future plans for that they were outlining, which make it sound really cool. And I wasn't really as, The theme song is really catchy. It is in there, so there's that. But a lot of the thematic stuff, I don't know whether that's like staying true to the property or not. But Erica, seemed to be super pumped and excited about it. So I got to go by that. Because she's a super fan of Pokemon. The other thing too is the playfield artwork that was all done by. I don't want to say it was all done by the license holder, but they had like full control of that. Now Stern had to do a lot of things because, that was like they're working together with them. But for the most part, how that looks and how they wanted that to look was very on brand. Like it had to meet a certain guideline. And so even when we were there were some things on the cabinet art, very minor things that they said would change, like on the back glass, like if a character had teeth, it might have been like off a millimeter or something. So there was still some licensor stuff still going on. And I want to talk about that for 2 seconds. I do feel like people comment all the time, man, I wish that this game would come out. Like, what's this pending licensor approval thing? As being someone that I got the unique opportunity to work on Harry Potter, it is not like we think. It's not like you just send a revision off to the license holder and they're like, oh yeah, cool. Everything's cool, man. Like, here we go. All right, here we go. No, it doesn't work like that. They're very, very, very particular. Now, certain license holders are going to be easier than others, but think about it. The license holder for a $288 billion property is probably not going to want you to do anything outside of their guidelines. So I show grace there because I've seen the other side of it. And I don't know why everyone is so like, they think it's literally an excuse. I'm like, no, man, they work down to the wire. And here's the thing. License holders don't care about your timeline. If it's not done to them, then it's not done. I saw that firsthand with Harry Potter. If it's not done, it's not done. If they don't like something, they will push back, and they do not care if your tentative launch date is a Friday or a Thursday or a Wednesday. They're aware of it, but if they don't like something, sorry, you're delayed. Like, that's it. Like, it's that simple. And I don't know why people don't show grace on this. They act like those are excuses. They are 1,000. I can tell you because I've lived it. It is not an excuse. It is just the nature, especially working with a large license like Harry Potter or Pokemon. Those are licenses where they're going to be extremely anal about how their license is perceived. And, you can't help but look over this game and it screams Pokemon. So I think they did a good job there. Now, as I played through the day, I want to talk about the Pro for a minute because I felt like the Pro was my favorite one. And I never, my Pro is my favorite one, but on this one, it was. And I'll tell you why. So you don't get the toilet bowl, but it's a similar, I don't even know what you call that, like a whirlpool ramp. I don't know. I'll call it a toilet bowl for lack of, I don't know what it's actually called. But on Star Wars, that's in the top right for the Jabba, the Jabba shot. And over here, it's on the left. It's like hovers over the left flipper. I really like fast moving games. And there is a diverter. It doesn't always go down that little toilet bowl thing, but it slows it down a little bit. I don't want to say it slows down a ton, but I preferred the fast player of the Pro. So I was okay with some of these concessions. So you lose that whirlpool ramp. There's a sneak in on the left side. If you're looking at the left side of the playfield, there's these 3 stand-ups, and then there's like a little sneak in on the left. You don't have that on the Pro. That's just a stand-up target. So you have 3 stand-up targets plus a 4th stand-up target. Then also on the Pro, where the Pokeball is, the ramp actually goes up and there's a physical lock. That is not on the Pro. So that ramp doesn't move at all. There's no up. It's always in the down position. So when you shoot that ramp, some people were wondering, like, does the Pokeball open or do anything like that? It doesn't. It just goes up that ramp. And it's like kind of this like very fun, satisfying like loop shot. It like kind of goes up and loops back down and it comes down pretty fast. I like that. The other things that are concessions on the Pro, we do, like I said, we don't have that magnet under Meowth, and then Pokemon or Pikachu doesn't move. So all I saw Pikachu do in this code, and I don't think his arms move or his tail moves, so his head just moves, and I don't think any part of that other part of that sculpt moves. So that's it. So it looked like how they had it coded, at least initially, is if the ball's like wherever the ball is, like Pikachu will move his head toward that ball, right? So if it's on the left, he's going to look left. If it's on the right, he's going to look right. But the thing is, like when I'm playing, and I shared this same thing with Punk Rock Pinball, we were like, well, we're not looking at him. It's kind of like Kong in the corner. Like Kong in the corner is doing something, but I'm not ever really looking at Kong. So what he's doing is kind of irrelevant to me, at least. So this was one where I went, shoot, I don't usually favor the pro, but I kind of did in this case. But here's the thing. Normally I don't, because I feel like the pro is stripped down. In this case, it's really not. You are missing some features, but I don't feel like those features are so much that it's like, oh man, you're making these major concessions. Unless you're like unless if you feel like those things are things you want to have, then of course you could go with the premium, and then the LE is going to be the LE, but I don't think the LE is going to be available. So why I'm more inclined to like position a pro or even a premium, but more so on the pro, is all of these accessories, excuse me, my voice, all of these accessories are going to be able to be purchased. So you're not going to get the same art blades as the LE, but you can put the cabinet expression lights in. You can put the art blades in. You can even put the lights on the outside of the cabinet if you want. You can put the speaker expression lights. You could put a shooter rod. I don't know if it's going to be the same shooter rod as the LE. The LE is going to come with a shooter rod. It actually is I think it's called the Master Ball or something. It has a little M on it. I think that's what it is. That looks pretty cool, actually. So if you listen to this and want to go, I'm sure you can go check out the launch materials and you'll see all this. But I thought it was cool that they actually took the extra step and put a shooter rod in it in the LE. Now, to me, you want to get LE, and I don't think they have any problems selling LEs here at all. But if you want to get LEs like back on track, I think on no matter what the gamer license is, put a topper on it. Like give the LE with a topper. And we didn't get to see the topper, unfortunately, but the dealers did, I guess. And everyone's saying like the topper is going to be amazing. So I don't know if they're going to show this topper during the launch. I'm assuming not, because I think they're not ready to do that. But they did assure us that accessories would be available a lot faster than normal. But that's why I'd be more inclined, if I was going to buy this, to go with the pro or the premium, because I can kind of make it. And I think that might be a moot point a little bit, because I don't think LEs are going to be available for this. I really do think they're going to probably sell through the LEs, because I do feel like this license is bleeding over to some of the Pokemon fans. And I think a portion of them are going to buy this because they buy everything Pokemon, regardless of price, right? We try to say like, oh, they're only buying cards. Well, some of these people are buying cards that are, the pack costs $5, but they're buying a single card for a considerable amount of money, right? So to say that the Pokemon collector doesn't have money would be inaccurate, I think, because a lot of them do, and they will buy every single thing. So, I mean, overall, I think the thing is, when I got a chance to sit on the plane on the way home and soak it in, I was like, man, this game we were having so much fun with it. Like we shut it down. Like me, Mike, Vic VP, Erica. I'm trying to think of who else was there toward the end. I think I don't remember everybody was in the room, but we shut it down. Like they had to kick us out, in a respectful way. They're so great over there. They like, I realize that you could look at it two ways. You could be like, well, they're coming into your house and they want you to have the best experience. Of course, they're going to be super nice to you, but they're just nice people over there in general. Like, I don't think it's like, oh, they're being nice because we're in there and they want us to say nice things about the game, because no one says what to say. And I know there's people that want to think that, but no one at Stern is telling you what to say. They want you to legitimately get the experience, and they give you time in a special room so you can have more one-on-one time with it, so you can hear the music better, because in their arcade room, it is really loud, and it is hard to get a grasp for the full thematic experience. But everyone was so kind. But I'll talk about one thing about licensing. So if you're a Patreon member of Flippin' Out, the Flippin' Out podcast, Ken Cromwell and Greg Bone brought up my post that I made the other day about how I take NDAs seriously. If an NDA means I'm shutting my mouth until you tell me I can talk about it. And I have no problem with that. I have no problem at all with that. But I also take it really seriously. And there are some people that don't. I don't like this idea that oh, well, I'm gonna leak this thing, because here's the problem with it. And I had a whole podcast on leaks and I talked about this. There's so much time. These things are like 18-month sometimes cycles to get this product from its whitewood to what we see as a finished product. So think about all like the blood, sweat, and tears that go into that, whether that be the game designers, the software developers, the mechanical engineer. So if you think about it, this is the moment of reveal, right? This is the time where they get to show off how amazing, like how they feel about their game. And I'm sure working on a big project like this, I saw it with Eric Minier and the team out there, and Joe Katz and their mechanical engineer, and everyone that was involved in the Harry Potter project, how proud they were to show this. And then of course that stupid potato cam playfield thing leaked. And that bums me out because I try to put myself in their shoes. If I was working on a project that took this long to come to fruition, 18 months, and then it gets ruined by some jackass who takes a shit photo and puts it out into the world, it sucks for everybody. Like we all want to be surprised together. I'm just as much of a hobbyist as the person listening to this. Like, yeah, I make content, but I only make content on this because I love this stuff. I love it. But I want everybody to get it together, like everyone, because then the community gets excited together. But when you put out something into the world that isn't a good representation of it, that sucks so bad for the not only the company, but every single person that put the time and effort into it. So I have a hard time when someone's like, "Well, it's already out there. I'm gonna put it out." It's like, no, be the good steward. Like, be the good steward of the hobby, and don't do it. Don't publish the thing, even if other people are doing it. Don't be like, "Oh, well, everyone else is, so I'm going to." Don't. Think about the people that put their blood, sweat, and tears, and it's their job to put some game out into the world. Think about them. Just do that next time. And I don't mean this I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody that did share it, but I just think more about it. Think more about if this was, and Ken, thank you, Ken, for bringing this up, because I'm super passionate about this too. And I think it's because I work in tech. We have to sign NDAs. And we release new products, and we're excited to release those products into the market. And the problem with releasing a crappy photo is that now people are making assumptions based on some crap photo. And a lot of times that photo was really bad. The initial playfield photo, it was very hard to tell what was going on. And then the internet makes its own opinion. And I got to think that if you're the people working on it, you're very proud of your project, I can't think that it doesn't impact sales to some degree. So just think about that a little bit more when next time when you're the one that maybe is about to click send on some crappy potato cam photo, and think if it was your project, would you want it to be shown in that light? So I'm really passionate about this topic, and I do think people should really take an NDA seriously and don't treat it like a friend DA where you can go do anything else. The problem is none of these companies, Ken pointed this out, none of these companies enforce these NDAs really, but people should have the integrity. If you've been given that power, right? With great power comes great responsibility. Like, be responsible, because honestly, there is no real pinball media. We are the pinball media. There's no like major big time journalists covering this space. That's us. That's all of you guys who also make content. So most of my peer creators are very, very respectful of this, and it's something I feel strongly about. You can call me stupid or whatever. I don't care. It's something that I truly believe we should be respectful of, because we all love these people. We meet them at shows. We build personal relationships with them. They have families. They have people that they're providing for. This is their exciting moment, and let them have it. Let them have their exciting moment. But I'd say all in all, I didn't view this podcast as being like a deep dive on the game or anything, but I wanted to give you my thoughts, and I really do enjoy it. I don't know if I want to trade in an existing game for it, but I keep thinking I do. Like, there's just something really fun about the game. And keep in mind, for me to want to potentially buy a Pokemon game is sort of weird for me, because I don't have any like emotional connection to it, but we were all having so much fun playing it. And I think that's the testament of a good game. Like, maybe a good game doesn't need to have a million shots. It just has to have good shots that feel good, and that do something interesting with the code that gets you excited about that achievement. Like, when you there's a point where you're about to catch a Pokemon, and the Pokeball starts flashing, like and it's like telling you got to go hit that shot. And I think there's an insert that's flashing too. So it's like very obvious what you have to do when it comes to that time. And there's something cool about when you hit that shot and then it kind of stops and it shows you the animation of the one that you caught. Excuse me. And then at that point, you would see that on the LCD too. So it gives you a moment of you caught that one. The battles are also really interesting with Meowth and how that character can move up and down. And by the way, that moves up and down on both the Pro, Premium, and Limited Edition. So I think it's hard when you only I probably played it 30 times, maybe. I don't know, maybe 20, 25, 30 times. But we were there all day. Like, we closed it down. It was like 9 to almost 9 at night. So from 9 to 9, it might have been 9 to 8 something, but it felt like it was 9. It felt like a long day. But all we did was play. Just play, 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 play. And that's how you get the best experience with it, is you just got to keep putting time on it. But I had fun with it from the very moment. So I think how I'd sum it up, if you're a Pokemon fan, you're absolutely going to love it, I think. I don't know how you wouldn't. And it seemed like anybody that was there that was really into Pokemon was absolutely loving it. But if you're a pinball enthusiast and someone that you'd view your skill level being a little higher, I do think you're going to go into this, and the shots are very satisfying and fun, but they're approachable shots. So it's not like it's giving you this like massive amount of challenge, but there's enough challenge in there. I was asking Derek, one of the guys over at Stern, I was like, hey, when you guys play test this thing, like what are the scores of the Stern people? And the average score of the Stern people was like, and they're obviously very good players, but the Stern employees weren't posting like billion point scores, although Tom Graff did. So Tom Graff was there, and I have this video where I'll end up publishing it. He's like, yeah, like I think we played through a whole game with 4 people, and he was still on like ball 1 or something, or whatever. He was still playing his game. Let's just put it that way. After we went through 4 people, he was just commanding the machine, but he's also a super exceptional tournament player. And I have a lot of respect for Tom. He's a really good dude, really nice guy, just loves pinball. And he totally crushed the game. But so I think if you're in that super exceptional category, sure, you're going to be able to like blow it up. But I think for most of us, we're going to have fun. It's going to be challenging enough, and the shots feel good. So I really am contemplating. I keep going back and forth on whether I'm going to pick one up. I think if I do, it's going to be a Pro, not the Premium, because those other things aren't like, I don't know, they're not game changers for me. And that's weird for me to say, because typically I'm always like a Premium guy or an LE guy. And I think this will be the one LE. I know this is getting repeated everywhere, and time will tell, but it does feel like this LE is the LE that's going to potentially hold value like we saw Jaws do. I will say the shooter rod thing, I don't think we've seen the included shooter rod on an LE since Jaws, actually. I think it was Jaws, because Jaws had like the barrel shooter rod. I'm pretty positive of that on the LE. The LE came and went so fast with Jaws that I never got a chance to get one. I really did want the LE of Jaws. I kind of made mine look like an LE, but yeah, that's the thing. If it's someone out there, I think we get hung up on, premium's better and everything. It's really going to be subjective. It's going to be, do you feel like those things are important to you? Like the Pokeball, it is animated, but all it really is doing is if you hit a pop bumper or you hit a slingshot, it just kind of like goes left, right, like it just moves like that. So I don't know. Is that if that's something that is a game like a deal breaker for you, then yeah, you're gonna get everything you're gonna get in the LE as far as the playfield stuff on the Premium. So that's just gonna be a decision you're gonna have to make. But I'm telling you, for me, and I think my taste and how I like to play and games that I like to play has changed. Like I really do like things that are faster paced and fast moving. And I'm not saying that the Premium doesn't, because the Bowl does slow it down, but it's only when it's enabled, and it's not that often. So I don't know. But I preferred the Pro, to be honest, out of all of them. Now, of course, I'm like all of you, and I like to mod and customize my game. But then you also have to factor in, after you do all those things, what's your overall cost after. But what I do like about it is with Spike 3, they're making it so that any trim level can add cabinets, lights, can add speaker lights. Like that's the go forward strategy. And I like that, because it means you can make the game you can go as far as you want with accessories or not, or just you don't care. And there you go. You don't put art blades, you don't put lights, and you don't care about that stuff. The LE is obviously the only one with a shaker motor. The shaker motor is a $109 item, so it's not like a crazy upgrade. But I did like the shaker motor, was a cool touch on the LE. But here's the thing, like a lot of times in the early code, they're not fully coded in. Like it was there. It was very apparent that it was there, and I did enjoy it a little bit more with the shaker, but that's something you could add to all of them. So it's not like, it's not like you have to get the LE to get a shaker. You just pay $100, you get a shaker, and they're really easy to install. So And I like the fact that they were saying that these accessories are going to come faster than normal. And I think they got a lot of heat from the community. I think they're trying to figure out how can we get these things rolling quicker. So I do like that. Now that's going to be determined. Like, let's hope they do that. They did it quick with Walking Dead Remastered. They're trying to do these things faster. So we'll see. Excuse me. We'll see where that ends up. But yeah, the only like really hard shot I'd say is probably the scoop. The scoop is very far on the right hand side, so you kind of got to get it right on the tip of the flipper or your left flipper to get that scoop. And the scoop will get, I'm sorry, not yeah, the scoop. And the scoop is like uh, you can do like your mystery and your extra ball and things like that at the scoop. So yeah, that's my like 35-minute or so breakdown of it. I will say, like, if you ask me, did I like it? I'd say yeah. I'd say I did. But the thing is, I want to just make it clear, it's not this like ultra dynamic layout. So if you like games like Kong or you like games like Avengers Infinity Quest, you know, or even like Jurassic Park where the shots are kind of more challenging, then I think you might, you know, this might be a game where you pass because you like games with a third flipper or a fourth flipper, you know. So this isn't that. It's not that. So, but I'd say don't shy away from simplicity because that means it's not fun. Like it's if you need a two flipper game that's really fun to play in your collection, I think this is a fun one to add. And it doesn't have the brutality of like Black Knight Sword of Rage or Star Wars. You know, Borg is just he likes to make brutal games, and this isn't a brutal game. So I think that's kind of nice, especially for people that are newer to the hobby, because you're going to feel like you're progressing through things nicely, or that the learning curve isn't quite as difficult. You know, I think even as many times as I've played Star Wars, I still feel like my games are all over the place, where you'd probably get more consistency with this. And I'd say that's because the shots are easier to hit, you know, but I don't want you to think that it's like ultra simple. I'd say it's just simple in its design. Like the design is simple, but I think that was a conscious effort to say it's a large IP. We want everybody to have fun with it, but we also want to take the approach that we can make it more challenging through code. And so, yeah, I mean, the one thing that's to be determined, and this is why I typically get a game, like this is why I might want to get this, is what will the longevity be though? Like how deep will that code go? And will I get bored with it? Like I can't answer that because I haven't owned it and put 200, 300 plays on it, but that'll be interesting. So I always recommend someone goes and plays it on location. This game is going to be freaking everywhere. If you're just one of those people that buys all the new in-box stuff, then by all means go for it. But I don't think this game is going to be hard to find. So that's also, I talked to my buddy Sean about this a lot. Shout out to Arcade. I always forget his name I always forget he's gonna kill me. I always forget his Arcade Gaming Central. Yeah, go follow him on Instagram. He posts some great stuff. But I was talking to him about this a lot. He has the unique opportunity where there's tons. He lives like close to Stern. So if you look around the Chicago metro area, there's pinball everywhere. And because the manufacturers are there, the new stuff is usually very quickly on site. So he gets this unique opportunity to be able to play stuff really close to his house. So he can kind of get his fill and then realize like, okay, I want this game in my collection or I don't. And some of you don't have that luxury. Some of you don't have as many on location sites. We've got a great pinball community here in Phoenix. So there's plenty of places to go play it and explore it. Some distros have showrooms you can go do it. But, you know, I'd always encourage someone to play it first. But, you know, sometimes the videos don't quite give you everything you want to know. But anyways, I'm excited for everyone. I'm excited to see the community reaction. Of course, I can already anticipate there's going to be people that are going to form some opinion, and that might not be the right one because they haven't played it. So just keep an open mind and do the assessment for yourself. Don't just fall into the echo chamber, because the echo chamber sometimes, the majority of the echo chamber when it happens hasn't actually played it yet. And this game literally just came out today. There's probably no place on location. It will be at New York Toy Fair. And it will be at TPF. So if you're going to TPF, hey, if you're on the fence, play it at TPF when you go there and see for yourself. You know, log some time on it or go find one locally, because these things, the pros are going to ship out first, and I think they're going to ship out pretty quickly. They were not on the line yet because they were waiting. They were preparing the line for Pokemon, but it wasn't in production yet because they're waiting on some parts, but I'm assuming that's like any day now that will be in full swing and they're going to be pumping these things out pretty quickly. So yeah, I hope that gave you a good little breakdown. I'm doing this with a little bit of a limited time, so I just wanted to put something out there, but be on the lookout on my Retro Ralph channel. There'll be a full video. The plan is to try to get it out by tomorrow, but Mason and I did have Mason come out. We filmed a lot of material, so it could take a while to sift through. My goal would be, or our goal together would be to do it, get it out by tomorrow. So hopefully you'll have even more stuff to chew on. I'd say my video is going to give a lot of the details I already did, but it's going to give you a background, a little bit of a sneak peek behind the scenes of what a media day is like, what we do, and kind of, just kind of get a little behind the curtain look. Because I think sometimes I go to these media days and I focus so much on the game that I don't capture the fun we've had and the people that are there. And so hopefully, if it works the way I want it to, the goal would be for you to watch my video and feel like, hey, I'm along for the ride on media day, and Ralph's taking me down this journey, because not everyone can go, because it's really, based on, media, the pinball media, like I said earlier. So yeah, I cannot wait. So if you're watching this or listening to this after you've watched all the launch materials, put in the comments, like what you think about the game. I'm very, very curious to see what the community is going to say, because I do, because it's different. It's different in the sense that it's a very different license. It's probably the biggest license Stern has probably ever worked with, right? It's the biggest IP in the world. So I would think that there probably hasn't been a license that they've ever had before that would be this large. So it's pretty exciting times for Stern. And I think Stern's been getting beat up lately. I don't think it's justified, but they're getting so beat up lately. It's like we're in this season of it's cool to hate Stern. And I started with Stern stuff. I think Stern does an exceptional job making games. Like, they make good games through software. They're kind of like, I don't want to view this as like a negative, but they just have like a way of being able to put the whole package together. And maybe they're not perfect at everything, but collectively, through Insider Connected and code updates and the amount of time they invest into continuing to develop a game is probably the best. It's probably some of the best in the industry. So there's something to be said about that. And they manufacture with, even though there's been some blenders over this past past couple years. Like X-Men came out and it was very iffy mechanically. There were things about it that definitely made it a little less fun. Now that over time they've sort of had fixed kits and things to get it back on track. But when you do these like radically different designs, you got to think the manufacturing process on that is harder, right? Because you're doing things with the ball that maybe have never been done before, or it's just it has to be so precise to shoot accurately. And this one just shoots good. It just shoots really good. It's got a good flow, and I think you guys are genuinely gonna like it. And I'd be interested to hear both from the Pokemon fans and from the people that are like pinball enthusiasts, and then even the newbies. Like, I want to hear everybody's perspective. So I think I'm being very fair on it. And I think my honest take on it is I'm still on the fence of if I want to add it to my collection, but that's more because I'm not like an ultra big time Pokemon fan. And I know there's some other things coming from Stern later on this year that probably fit my generation a little bit better. Like, if it is indeed Transformers, which, by the way, there's a little cool fun thing in the beginning of my video, and it has to do with Transformers, so be on the lookout for that. It's pretty funny, I think. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Thank you so much for the continued support of the channel. I appreciate you guys so much. And please put in the comments. I want to know what you think, because we're like 15 minutes away from launch. I'm going to try to get this podcast uploaded so you guys can listen to it and have some of my thoughts and opinions. And then you'll get a little bit more when it comes to how I feel about the game, or at least my first impressions of the game, right? Because I was recording as I was experiencing it at Stern. So hopefully this is probably a little bit more of my impressions after time to let it soak in. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Again, light up the comments. I want to know what you think, and we will see you on the flip side. See you guys.